Disclaimer notice. This video is for entertainment purposes only. All information in this video is not based on fact. It is all alleged, based upon my intuition, my opinion, what I believe my tarot cards are telling me. I encourage each and every one of you to do your own research, form your own opinions. After all, I'm just a blonde throwing cards. Good morning, everybody. It's almost afternoon, but that's okay. My decks came in, and before I go door dashing, I'm going to do a reading. We've got What Lies Beneath and Trisha James investigation deck. I've already played with it a little bit on a personal matter of somebody that I know did something nefarious. No, not like unaliving anybody, but more like a type of fraud. And I kind of threw some cards out. Boy, were they revealing. And man, her husband is sitting back and watching shit go down. Something's going down that I'm not being told about. And of course, he's sitting back like, point the finger over there, not me. He had knowledge of it, but he's not going to admit to having knowledge of it. And shit's going to go down, and makes me wonder if he's going to be implemented in something. But that's just what I was playing with here. Anyhow, we're going to get into this reading, and I will put a card or in the description box a link to a referencing video. Okay, so you got the referencing video. In that, I encourage you to watch it as well. Science behind the idea that this storm was man-made and manipulated. He showed beams that were being shot out, that pushed, like it's like radio beams or something like that, that pushed the storm along a certain path. Okay. Now, obviously, you know by now, you know that particular card. I'm also showing a image here that is obvious that by overwhelming amount, now there weren't a whole lot of votes in, but every time new votes came in, a majority, and I mean, doing this second reading on Hurricane Helene, won by a landslide. No pun intended. Literally, there was no doubt. You guys want to know more about this hurricane and why there's no aid being lent? Okay, and when I was shuffling this deck, this is the Mermaid Tarot. When I picked it up to go to shuffle, the Wheel of Fortune was on the bottom. And it looks like a nautical wheel. So, yeah. Okay, without further ado, let's just go right ahead and get into this. Okay. Really want to know what Trisha James's deck is going to say. About this. Let's just do the overall. She lets her cards jump out. Sometimes I do that, but I'm actually going to lay out a spread. Okay. Similar to Alicia Wicker's, but I've kind of modified it a bit. And here's how it's going to go. Okay. Cover up or tampering in the past. So that is telling me the tampering. You know, they can seed these clouds with some kind of, what is this, electrical impulses or something. and the people, there's still people out there that doubt that a hurricane could be man-made, or a hurricane could be directed in a certain way. And in that video clip that I am linking, it way back, somebody announcing, who was it? A scientist maybe, saying that they had the technology to direct the weather, to control it, to make it go in a certain direction. The Lovers. The Lovers is a relationship. It's also a choice, a partnership. So not involved, or could be unaware. But announced to everybody behind the scenes, and I'm seeing this moon energy here, okay? Under moon, there was a relationship between parties, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's government and scientists, okay? The Hierophant, authority. Yep. There it is. Someplace in a place of authority, that's the government. With suspicious activity that nobody was aware of. Correct path, yes. So this is saying that yes, there was a partnership between the government and somebody else, and I would say scientists. That's the vibe I'm getting. And it's all being covered up, swept under the rug. Nobody's talking about it. But the cover-up, they tampered with the weather pattern. Apparently, originally, without the blue beams, makes me think of the other decks, Project Bluebeam, right? I think both Alicia and Ashley have a Project Bluebeam type card in their decks, I believe. I know Alicia definitely does. But that these beams, and showing up, and it's obvious, and they're pointed out, it makes me think of that. And look at this, there's blue on here. Okay? All the blues on the map, when you watch that video, you'll understand what I'm talking about, are radio signals or something like that that's directing the storm in certain ways. It's like the weather, the wind, and everything. It's like these blue spots repels the storm. So it's kind of lined up in certain ways, and then there's beams that come out and say, okay, we need to give you a little bit of a nudge this way or that way. And that's what was going on here. So there was a partnership to put the storm on a certain path, a correct path that they wanted. And that partnership definitely involves the government. And I think the government was ahead of it that put out a contract with whether it's meteorologists or whatever type of scientists. This is what we need. We need a hush hush. We need you to manipulate this storm. We need it to go in these mountainous areas. Let's see what's under the deck on top for underlying energy. I shit you the fuck not. It's the Magician. Dark ritual. Manipulation. I shit you not. It's definitely weather manipulation. So, in the first reading on Helene, I got that as well, that it was a man-made. Now I picked up that maybe it wasn't supposed to be as devastating or go in something may have went wrong. What I feel is that it was going on the wrong path and they had to make corrections. Now that I see what's in the news and now that I see these cards, and after watching that video, it's like I was real close to being on the mark. Cards are subject to interpretation. You know, there was something that I may have kind of been a little bit off on, but definitely man-made. There was definitely manipulation. Okay. Now, let's get this deck out. The truth's under the surface. Behind the reasoning of directing the hurricane where they did. See if this deck wants to talk. Now this deck, you have to be really intuitive to read it for true crime to a point. Okay. Private relationship. Can't get any more blunt. Okay. So there's a private relationship here. Now I'm going to use one of Alicia's spreads, okay? This is definitely hers. Private relationship, that trash, throwing things out that caused devastation where nothing was salvageable, people's homes, people's belongings needing to get thrown away. Everything trashed. This private relationship led to a trashing of the storm's path, and now they're sitting and we're watching shit go down. There's a lot of gossip and rumors going around. No, I'm not saying that we are enjoying that, but there's somebody above that is, and this is almost like the popcorn. I sit and watch this go down. They're watching the devastation, overriding concern, fake friends, burning evidence. That somebody may have, that not all evidence was destroyed of this plan. In other words, there could be some finger pointing with evidence. Overriding concern is somebody going to turn on us? Somebody that pretended to be on our side in this deal, and they turn on us. Emotional undercurrent. Falling apart. The emotional undercurrent of this whole thing is and this is also overriding concern. This could be about the people too. And they're watching shit go down. They're watching everything happen. And there's a burning. It's almost like evidence being destroyed, being hidden, being burned. And then the people feel betrayed. So there's dual meaning here. And everything's falling apart. Homes, houses, lives. Okay? That is the emotional undercurrent of this whole thing. We're looking at the fear. Oh my God, Copycat. Repeat. This is where I see Maui. This here is coming very much across as a land grab. This is a Copycat incident. You know, they were trying to grab land in Hawaii. Now, here we go in the mountainous land. Why do they want that land so bad? I think it's dual reasons. I think it has to do with the election, getting rid of red states, and 2, lithium. Land grab. Their obsession. I hate nothing about you. This is almost like their obsession is they want people, and I'm ignoring I hate nothing about you. I'm seeing somebody reading the paper. Ignore the words, because that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting the person reading the paper, reading the news, obsessed with the news. And people, this is the world, eyes on this. So back to up here, where I was getting the fear of the partnerships, the partners in this, afraid of somebody stabbing them in the back and saying, well, here's the evidence, not everything was destroyed. But yet the fear of the people being, we've been stabbed in the back, we've been abandoned here, everything gone. And the people are watching, hey, they're destroying evidence. All that we could do is sit back and watch. And this is reading the news and sitting back and watching the shit show because people feel helpless. And this does kind of like the Maui situation where people felt helpless. And then there's all kinds of conspiracies around the Maui fires. And they did not want a repeat of that. That is why there was aid given to the people in Maui to a point. Only to a point. But they're flat out threatening arrests with any civilian that wants to give aid to Helene victims because they don't want anything to be uncovered. They don't want anybody to go digging. But what in reality it is, their plan is falling apart of we're going to keep things quiet. No, we're going to keep people from digging into this. So we're not going to let anybody come in with aid. But it's falling apart because it's doing just the opposite. Okay? Now, what is the agenda here? Their desires. What are they trying to accomplish? Expecting they want to accomplish a new way of life, a new beginning. So that's also for the people. The people need to start over with a new beginning. But the government, in it also, this whole thing is a new beginning for that area. And I swear it's a land grab. I'm seeing all these ambers from the fire. So I know that this was one of the questions. Is there any connection? I think this is going to be 2 readings in 1, even though not a whole lot of people voted for. Was there a connection between Maui and Helene? I think Spirit is saying, well, I'm going to tackle both of those. They're kind of intertwined with each other. And this is another confirmation. Copycat. And we've got, and people fearing that this is just a repeat. This is a new beginning. There's the ambers. That is a confirmation that these fears of this being a copycat disaster type thing, but the opposite at the same time. Instead of destroying with fire, they were destroying with water. I feel like if it would have been fire, something would have been a bit more suspicious, because then there definitely would have been people connecting the dots between Helene and Maui. But this is telling me there is definitely a connection. What is the obstacle here? Getting a room. Hotels. Housing. Housing is now going to be an obstacle and a problem in this area. And that is an obstacle for the people. What's the obstacle for the government? What's the obstacle for the government? Love story, once upon a time. That the love story is connected to the private relationship. The obstacle is, I'm seeing the word hate on this card and love on this side. It's like an obstacle is good for the government. It's people falling out, people that may have, it's like the tide's turning, and I feel the election's going to play a part in this. This is giving me more vibes of this as an obstacle. And as an obstacle, it's the opposite of love. It's a despise. It's almost like a hate story. And, FEMA, the local government, all the people that are the police force, they are going to have something to deal with here. People, the public turning against them. I'm getting energies of uprise. And I kind of said that in my October predictions. Potentially an uprise. I think either, or was it my political reading? I can't remember. I remember saying something about an uprise of some sort. Had no idea it was going to be connected to this storm. But I said it. It was one of my predictions. Okay? Now, let's dig into the tarot. And I use the mermaid deck for this because it is a natural disaster associated mainly with water. It wasn't as much as the wind. And from what I understand with hurricanes, the wind is bad enough. It's the storm surge. It's the rising water that really is devastating. The water causes more damage than what the wind actually does. Those that are in hurricane regions, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it the water that is more damaging than the winds? Okay. Which makes me think Category 1 versus Category 4. What's different? The winds? But what about could you have a worse flooding, a storm surge with a Category 1 that would cause more damage than high winds of a Category 4 making landfall? Intriguing question. Okay. We are going to look at, I am going to use my True Crime Conspiracy spread on this one. I'm going to put 2 cards on each position. Okay. Cards are almost ready. Got to do one of these kind of shuffles. No, they said do one more. Okay. By the way, check out my other channel. It's just stories, no readings. In October, I'm doing haunted things. I'll probably have other stories on there, but I'm going to be dropping a lot of scary, spooky things in honor of Halloween on that channel. Okay, so we have the root of it. Then we have the agenda. Hidden. Things that are hidden. The public. This could be public opinion or how it affects the public. The future, moving forward with this. And lastly, the general overall. Okay. And I start in the center here for the overall energy. Okay, we have the Ace of Swords and the King of Swords. The King of Swords is somebody in a place of authority. He is a leader and he is a strategist. He could be the scientist. He could be somebody in law enforcement. And the Ace of Swords represents truth. Okay? And here, there's like, this is drawing my attention, almost like the ice coming out of his mouth, his breath. This is making me think that this is a truth coming out about somebody in a place of authority. And somebody, I'm getting a whistleblower. I'm getting whistleblower vibes. And I'm getting the air. Remember, swords are air. Okay? Kings are air. What is air in the tarot? Air is their communications. Air also represents thoughts, represents conflicts as well. It's somebody communicating. Now, we know the communications are cut off, but this is in regards to somebody strategizing. Somebody speaking what they want to do. And this is almost like the truth needing to come out. There might be a truth spoken about somebody in a place of authority. Okay? Now, what's the root cause of this? 5 of Cups, 7 of Swords. I shit you not. This is about theft. This is also about loss. This is people hugging each other, looking for refuge. Look at all the water around and stormy water here. You know, very emotional over being lied to. There was definitely a plan to steal something. And it makes me think of putting the people last and whatever's in the ground first. That just slipped out of my mouth. I meant to say they have a certain agenda and they are disguising it and lying about it, and it involves stealing something. No, it just came out of the ground. So I'm feeling like the lithium. And they're sending out these signals. Help, help, help. And they're having to rely on each other. That's cut off in these areas. Rely on self and each other. Here's the Spiel of Cups. There's the loss. There's the 2 cups behind her. So there is aid available, but they are unable to see it or receive it. See or receive. Okay, I know it sounded like receive it, receive it. They're unable to see what is available, and they cannot receive it. And there is no communication. And also numerology. And here, okay. Let's talk numerology for a second. 7s are introspection, evaluation, and what is the potential. And it's swords. Mentally calculating. And the visuals is stealing a sword, cutting off the communications so that these people cannot receive help, making sure there's no way to communicate. But the root of this has to do with stealing something, no matter the cost, no matter the loss. Their agenda. The Chariot and Death. I mean, I can't, you saw me shuffle, I cannot make these cards up. There's death all around. The Chariot. This has to do with having control, population control. The agenda has something to do with population control. Now, I saw a comment from somebody. I'm sorry, I can't remember which video it was. It might have been on my other Helene video, or it might have been on another channel, but somebody commented and said that Kamala Harris had a Freudian slip. She actually accidentally let the word depopulation roll off her tongue. So just keep that in mind too. Now, what is hidden? The Two of Pentacles. Making a deal, negotiations to change timelines, to make a change, a storm that has never, a unique storm never seen in the history of the United States, that recorded history. Okay? This is somebody taking the wheel and taking control. What is going on is a deal behind the scenes. We saw that in the true crime, a deal, partnership behind the scenes to change, to play God, okay? The public in this. Queen of Wands, Knight of Swords. Now, there's going to be somebody stepping into their feminine power. The public, the Knight of Swords, is somebody who's ready for battle. This could be a battle of words. It could be impulsiveness. And we got the Queen of Wands. My Kamala Harris shows up as the Queen of Wands for me all the time. Doesn't matter what her zodiac sign is. She probably has some strong fire in her. I'm leaning towards Aries. I'm not going to give my reasons why, but I'm leaning towards strong Aries or Sag. I'm not seeing Leo because she doesn't have leadership qualities. I'm sorry. But this is strong words and something pointed towards Kamala Harris. And let me tell you something. I did look up things about Donald Trump. You know, I mentioned in the last reading, I felt either Sagittarius or Leo in his chart. Very strong. He's a Leo rising, which totally explains everything. Okay. Anyhow, this is representing maybe even a battle that Kamala Harris is going to be facing. It feels like criticism, and because this is the public, and the public ready to take action in regards to Kamala Harris that might need clarifying. Okay, where's this headed in the long-term effects? Ten of Cups, Three of Swords. Wounding, emotional wounding of families. Tearing apart families, heartbroken people. The Ten of Swords is or Ten of Cups, I'm sorry, does represent coming together, unity. Now the cups are all the way up here on the bridge. All those bridges and roads that were washed out that cut them off. Okay, but I see a community here becoming much stronger out of adversity. Okay. Let's see if I could get some clarifying. Oh, the yin and yang. I want to know a little bit more about this truth strategy. Now, aces are beginnings. Aces represent ideas and birthing something. So somebody had a strategy to birth a new idea as well. But in regards, and it's all in the way that they communicate it. There's strategies going on. Can Donald Trump be showing up here as the King of Swords, because he is a Gemini, and communicating truth outwardly. Him being very outspoken. And I think he already has been outspoken. I see this as two people. There's only one King of Swords in the deck. But show me. I couldn't even get the question out. There is a mask and there is Mercury. About the traveling. Okay. Not being able, and communications being disrupted. Not being able to place phone calls. Yeah, there's a strategy here about communications and travel. This is Mercury. Then we have belief systems, a mask, a facade. Conditioning. Evaluating long-held beliefs. This is what is being communicated from our current administration are lies. They want us to believe one thing. But what they're saying is really a facade and masked. And if Donald Trump tries to speak some sort of truth, they're going to make him out to be a liar. I feel like they want to silence him too. Give me one more card for Donald. Nurture. Okay, I said one more card for Donald. He's the nurturer. He's the one who cares. And do not get negative in my comments, or you will be blocked. And they will be deleted. Okay? Or I will turn comments off. But he wants to take care of the situation. But I think there's lies and deception going on around Donald Trump about Donald Trump. Because they don't want him stepping in. Because it'll foil their plans for that lithium. And I'm telling you, it's about lithium. Now, the root of this, I'm curious about the stealing. There were certain decisions that were made that area has certain resources. We want that land, and we can't worry about the people. We can't worry about the people's fate. And they took fate into their own hands to steer that storm. So the decision to play God, and I got that message of playing God twice. Got it over here and got it here. The decision to play God caused a lot of loss of life and loss of homes. I don't know why that did that. That my mic cut out and then it cut back on. That is weird. I'm going to switch mics. Sorry about that. I probably was getting a phone call or something. Or FaceTime. Is that somebody tried to FaceTime me maybe? I don't know. Anyhow, as I was saying, because they were playing God and they took fate into their own hands to steer that storm in a certain way, there was the loss. And I'm picking up that was a sacrifice they had to make, similar to Maui, and it was all about a land grab. Now we have up here the agenda about the transportation or having control over population, the population in that area. Alchemy. This is a temperance card. This is also a card of mixing different concoctions with the alchemy. That's what I get. So they had their goal, their agenda was to come up with this special creation and I think that there were some people that may not have been completely on board. Remember in the last spread where there was a fear of somebody being a whistleblower. But this here, the soulmate, is a connection. It is a karmic tie, a karmic partnership that was created to make this happen. Regrets, repression, holding back, suffering and silence, blocking thoughts and memories. I think there's going to be a whistleblower. So not all is lost here. I mean, I see some people may be held accountable for this. You know, I've said this, I've got this feeling that Kamala Harris shot herself in the foot. I will be super surprised if she wins, because my energy is saying she had a shot at the White House and she shot herself in the foot because her lack of inaction is going to be the main cause. But let me tell you, she had her hand in all this. She knew that this was going to go down. Allegedly speaking, entertainment purposes only. Okay? But this repression, this can also be read as oppression. I'm seeing somebody here with their head down. Somebody feels defeated. Suffering in silence. This is Five of Cups energy. We've got the Five of Cups over here. Suffering in silence. That makes sense. Silencing people where the public, the people affected, that communication and everything was cut off, cannot hear their cries. They are literally, this is literally suffering in silence. Now this hidden thing of somebody making the decision to play God, coming up with this negotiations, monetary negotiations, maybe, well, for us to do this, we want X amount of lithium or X amount of money. Okay. And then we have nostalgia. Okay, Six of Cups. This is something from the past. Okay. So there was an incident. What is hidden is an instance from the past that is directly connected. What I see, if you look here, the burning bush, the fire. I know I jump all over the place, but my eyes drawn to different things. I'm seeing the direct connection to Maui. Same players. Some of the same players involved. Okay? And what's hidden, they're hiding things. So they covered up the past, right? And it could also involve those children in Maui. I'm not going to get into that in this reading. It's just it is reinforcing the idea that there's a connection with Maui. Union. More soulmate energy. More. This is the Lover's card. This could be these decisions made. Integration of the yin and yang, bringing about balance. So there was a decision and negotiations that went on in the past. This was long planned. I can't read it any other way. This has been long planned. Now the public here, I'm really curious a little bit more about this because wish. Okay. Success, achievements. Okay, so the public is looking for a satisfactory outcome. And they're being very outspoken towards a female. That's my Kamala card, like I said. Looking for answers that she doesn't have, or that she's not willing to give. Shadow work and reflecting. Some people are now reflecting on things of the past, other weather patterns, and they want answers. Obviously, we all want answers to this. Now, moving forward towards the future, we saw people uniting despite adversity. Eventually, being able to put their life back together. Okay? An old way of life is dead. Look at the whale on the beach. And then we've got the three swords, right? We've got people grieving. So this is the current energy, grieving the loss of family members. But the long-term effect, there's the Ten of Cups way up there. There seems to be a rebuild, okay? And going back to numerology, tens are endings and beginnings. It's a cycle. So a new cycle is going to emerge. And we did see energy already about rebirth, new energy, new way of life. Okay? I'm almost getting the sense of relocation. Relocating these people, taking their land. Giving them a fraction of what it was worth of their loss. Because it was pointed out these people did not have flood insurance. They did not get flooding in that area. Then all of a sudden everything's wiped out and they don't have insurance to cover their losses. They're going to get a fraction of what everything was worth and probably picked up and relocated those that actually are lucky enough to survive. Control. I shit you the fuck not. Sabotage. There are conflicts that are arising. Five of Swords, that they feel manipulated and bullied. There's a hollow victory for those getting that land. But I'm getting people, I said the families, I think this is more related to over here, looking for those answers, and they're squashing. Somebody's getting squashed in this. Release. Okay, this is an emotional release, a clearing. This is Eight of Cups energy. And I'm picking up, we're not going to just walk away from this. We will walk away and rebuild when we squash whoever did this to us. Higher self, high priestess type energy. A timeline shift. So I feel the long-term effects, the victims of this, they're going to squash the people in power that did this and take control back. Then they will be able to release this. And though it is a timeline shift, it altered their lives and they got to pick up and start a new timeline. That's where I said rebuilding their lives again. But I still pick up that it may not be in that location. I will have to do a separate reading on what is going to come of the government seizure of these properties. Okay. So, with that said, I think I am going to close this reading off. And I feel that the reasoning, I wanted to know why there was no aid being given. It was, I didn't even have to ask the question. It was right here. Population control. It was a land grab for seizure of the properties. And it is definitely connected with Maui. Okay, there are reasons, dark reasons behind it all. And with that said, I am actually going to drop the mic.